lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's number one lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners. We are going to be talking about a non-main title book, so this is an ancillary Werewolf by Night title. And this is our third adventure outside of the main title. So we had Marvel team up with Spider-Man, and then we went to Tomb of Dracula for an issue, and now we're going to Giant-Sized Creatures featuring Werewolf by Night #1. Just comes trippingly off the tongue.
Yeah, it's quite a clunky title. These are part of the Giant-Size comics that Marvel put out in the spring of 74 to the summer of 75. So not a long time.
Feels long.
Yeah, it does, as I'm sure we'll get to. But I guess a little bit of the origin of the giant size issue. I think Roy Thomas said the giant size idea was Stan's as publisher to increase revenue. It seemed to make sense to try to produce more of the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Conan, and other top-selling characters and genres. It was hoped that having a different size quarterly title wouldn't take away from the regular titles. But I think it did a little bit.
So these were quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least that was the plan. They really seemed kind of haphazard. They followed a bit of a plan, but like you've seen previously, they've promised like, oh, it's going to be this rotating cast. And then, that doesn't happen. So we end up with giant-sized creatures, which is one of the earlier ones. And all these giant-sized issues, I think, Matt, you're in agreement. They're all pretty disposable.
Yes, I totally feel that way.
I guess to describe what they are, like a typical giant size issue would be from 52 to 68 pages long. It would have a brand new lead story, and the rest of the book would consist of like reprints from, years past and a ton of ads. And, they're just mostly forgettable, except for that damn giant size X-Men that ended up kind of being important.
Yeah, hugely important, right?
Yeah, so that's probably the giant size as a line. That's their greatest contribution to history.
And that undoes a lot of the bad stuff. So giant size X-Men, that's the one that introduced a lot of the characters people know today as X-Men, like Colossus and...
Yeah, the international team.
Yeah, the international team. This isn't that. This is giant size creatures. Like you said, we read something from Stan or Roy a few episodes ago that the plan, like you said, was to have a rotating monster. I believe it was actually to have Dracula be a character or how he impacts people or something. And then there'd be also Man-Thing one issue, Werewolf by Night another issue, The Mummy another issue. Still think they should have done that, personally. Yeah, so a lot of these giant-sized ones, at least in my reading, which is mostly around the horror stuff around the Bronze Age, feels like it's mostly... team-ups of things too. Like it's a little more Saturday cartoony than most of the main line usually is.
Definitely. I was having a hard time. Like I was going back because I initially thought that the giant size stories seemed like they were pulled from a Marvel team-up inventory drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Like but I couldn't decide which was a more like inconsequential, dumb title, Marvel Team Up or Giant Size. Probably Giant Size are the worst. They're worse than that.
Well, I got that vibe as well. I mean, in the first page of this story or second page of the story, there's a moment where a character's thinking about what's going on in their life, and it's like you're clearly just nebulously, ambiguously kind of talking about this person's general setup because there's something really big going on in their life right now, and they've left the country, like when they should be doing something important. So this is clearly, it feels like it was in a drawer, like you said, but I don't think it was. Right?
No, it actually wasn't. So Giant-Sized Creatures was planned, and there was a new lead story that was assigned to Tony Isabella. Actually, I have a quote from him on getting the assignment. It says, Roy Thomas asked me to write Giant-Sized Creatures #1, which was to be a quarterly book featuring Werewolf by Night. Since I felt the first issue of even a character's second title should be something special, I decided to reinvent Greer Nelson as Tigra. So I was like, all right. But also in that same article, he talks about that he received the assignment one day, pitched it the next day, and like wrote it right not too long after that. So it was, if not rushed, it was at least done in very little time.
That comes out. I'm glad that you say Tigra. I've heard comics fans say Tigra before, and it always rankles. Yeah,
me too. I mean, maybe we're wrong, but I don't care. It's all about Tigra.
No, that's like when people say Magneto.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't want to be around those people.
I was so happy when the X-Men movie came out in like 2000 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yes, I fucking told you.
He reinvented Greer Nelson, who was an existing character. A little backstory on her. She started out as the cat in the book Claws of the Cat that was from 1972. It was created by Roy Thomas and Wally Wood. And I think for that first issue, it was handed over to Maurice Severin as penciler and Wally Wood on inks.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely in that first issue, I was seeing on definitely some of the female characters just like, oh, yeah, that's Wally Wood. He's a little notorious for that. But
notorious means good.
Yeah. Oh, he's awesome. The character Greer Nelson was a woman who was subjected to experiments to maximize her female potential. So Marvel
like Virginia
at this
Slims.
time, yes, basically like Virginia Slims. So this was a time when Marvel in the early 70s, they kind of had this feeble attempt to appeal to like a hip female audience. And they had titles like Shanna the She-Devil, The Claws of the Cat, and Night Nurse. Though I actually like Night Nurse.
I've never read it, but it sounds interesting.
It's kind of cool. I really like it. And it doesn't really know. It kind of does a different thing every issue of its 4 issues.
Yeah.
And the last one is like gothic horror all of a sudden. And so I'm just like, oh, I like this. No, this is good.
Yeah, I read synopses of those issues, and I really remember wishing, like, God, that could have been cool if they let it get its legs, and I think I could have built an audience. It sounds interesting. It was kind of floundering, but in a good way.
I liked it. Marvel reprinted all 4 issues in just like a little slim trade, almost more like an issue. It wasn't all that much money, but I got it just so I could have all 3. I only had that 4th one actually on a floppy.
Can you describe the cat a little bit to the audience that might not know her pre-transformation?
Well, yeah. So after she maximized her potential physically and mentally, she got this costume that I think borrowed pretty heavily from the 40s comic strip heroine Miss Fury. I think even more than she was modeled after Catwoman. So, I mean, she's basically Catwoman, but in this real kind of yellow, I don't know, kind of silly looking costume. Yeah, loud.
So what I'm wondering is there's Patsy Walker, right, who is Hellcat.
Yeah, this is where the waters get muddied.
Okay, because they both have primary yellow costumes, and Hellcat has like a blue cowl and like blue gloves and boots and a sash or belt or something.
Yeah, okay. I feel like at some point in the years when I was not reading comics, that was kind of, I don't know, maybe those characters were, Patsy Walker was a character in Marvel Comics from like the fucking 50s.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Hellcat persona probably has more to do with the cat. I'm not sure though. I may be totally wrong.
Okay. I wondered, I never watched all of Jessica Jones on Netflix. Did Patsy Walker ever become Hellcat on that show? Do you know?
No, I only watched the first season.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know why I stopped. I really liked the first season a lot. I watched it twice.
Yeah, I did too. No, you're right. I don't know why I didn't. That was actually strange. But so, yeah, the cat wasn't, it's not a great book, even though, the 3rd issue is drawn by Bill Everett. So that's actually kind of cool. And it's on Marvel Unlimited if anybody wants to check it out. But it's not a great book, and Marvel really hyped the character, but the series only lasted 4 issues. Yeah, all 3 of the female-centric books were canceled after a few issues, mainly due to poor sales. Not because women didn't read comics, because of course they read comics, but shockingly, feminists in the early 70s didn't want middle-aged men to try to cater to their perceived needs. So that wasn't, big selling point.
Yeah, and I like that they threw Marie Severin on there. Like, they kind of had the right idea, like
kind of
20, 30 years later, they'd be like, let's give this an entire female creative team, leeway to do something.
Yeah.
But it was too early for that, I guess.
Yeah, it was too early. Marvel.
But I can see what they were doing, right? We've talked a lot about the evolution of the comics audience through the 60s, right? And like how it went into campuses in the mid to late 60s. And I can see them kind of going like, well, we're getting counterculture kids and stoners and everybody else that's seeing other stuff in this. We're growing these stories up a bit. Why are women not, like you're saying, women have always read comics, right? But I mean, like, I can see Marvel going, how do we get all the pie? Like, I don't want DC to have anything because they were just that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand. And like, with the origin of the giant size, it's all about increased revenue. It's just trying to find a way at this point to, squeeze some more money out of these characters. And this is the point that it starts to kind of fall apart. They can't be squeezed enough to have giant size issues pop out and for them to be good, as we will see.
So how long had Greer Nelson been canceled before she came back here with Jack Russell?
I think a year, maybe over a year.
That's what I was going to guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we dig in, or is there more coverage before we do the cover?
No. Let's talk about the cover.
This is cover dated July of 74. So this came out the same month as the last issue we talked about on the last episode with Brad. And it has a big diagonal banner up by the 35-cent field that says special issue in bold block letters. So it's important and you need to have it. There's a big arrow pointing down below the logo of the werewolf, which is a different logo than they use for Jack Russell or for the Beast in every single thing. I just noticed that. This is a different, not masthead. What do you call that?
Like we've been calling it a porthole.
Yeah, it's like
But I think that's much more of a golden age term.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a circle and the character, that cool Spider-Man one where he's all tall and lanky and just kind of staring you down like a gunslinger, like all those cool little things. But this is a different one. I can't believe I didn't notice that. But anyway, there's an arrow pointing down below him towards this feline human character. And it says, fear-fraught first issue, introducing the fanged fury of Tigra, the werewoman. And was it in the last episode where we read the letters column and the guy pointed out pedantically, like, were in German means man. So werewolf means man-wolf. So if you're calling someone a werewoman, you're calling her a man-woman.
Yes, you are. And doesn't Roy say something about that at the end? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
In addition to extra ads to pad to the story, there's also a prose piece of Roy Thomas talking about where the idea for Werewolf by Night came from. And I feel like Jacob and I covered that really extensively on episode 1. So we're not going to cover most of that. It's redundant at this point. But we will mention maybe the end and any terrible names he gave to the article.
God damn.
Anyway, so there's that. There's another porthole that says, and we dare you to guess the senses-shattering secret of Tigra's origin. Then on the bottom, bonus, a big explosion. Special features on the men behind the monster. I'm assuming that's Roy Thomas's prose history piece.
Well, yeah, and isn't there one on Tigra too?
Oh, yeah, there is at the end. You're right. So anyway, the illustration here is werewolf and this feline cat person leaping out of a broken cage with their claws bared, fangs bared, and descending on a group of poor Hydra agents. And it's not my favorite depiction of the werewolf.
No, I thought it was weird because, this is by Ron Wilson on pencils and Frank Giacoya on inks, both really great guys.
Yeah.
Really talented. And I don't think this looks anything like the Ron Wilson cover we had just 2 issues ago.
Yeah, When I checked GCD, I was shocked that Ron Wilson did this.
That doesn't make any sense.
It looked like a pearl and napkin to me.
Yeah, it totally does.
We'll have to talk about this a bit, but I don't want to dive in super deep because there's a lot of history. But we can talk briefly about, if folks don't read a lot of comics and they're more familiar with the MCU, the films, and in the TV Marvel universe, how Hydra's kind of different, because they're very different between the film universe in this. So in the comics, Hydra, in the films, they're more of a super deep state deep state type of conspiracy. They've infiltrated all the governments, very spy, despotic. And in the comics, they're a little goofier. There's tons of henchmen. They wear green robes with yellow sashes, yellow boots, yellow gloves, and they have like a green cowl on with yellow earpieces, and they just look goofy. And like, if you thought Night Owl and Watchmen, the film, looked dorky, wait till you see a Hydra agent. Like, they're basically Cobra.
They are
the Cobra guys that you just send out like pawns to get cut down. Yeah, that's that. I'm shocked that I didn't notice there was a different porthole werewolf. Anyway,
I have it written down. That's my favorite thing of the cover.
What's my favorite thing now?
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks kind of Pablo Marcos a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I like this.
Yep. Jacob and I have discussed this. We might kind of fly through this a little bit. It's very frothy as a story. So
yeah, I think we're gonna do pretty quick descriptions. I don't think we need to spend too much time recapping this issue. Yeah, so the opening page, well, let's just get the creators of this issue are Tony Isabella writing, Don Perlin on pencils, Vince Colletta on inks, lettered by Artie Simek, and colored by Petra Goldberg. Oh, and as always, edited by Roy Thomas. So, Tony Isabella is a cool guy. Like, he wrote a bunch of stuff for Marvel that I really like. He created the character of John Kowalski for War as Hell. War as Hell just keeps coming up. I love it. Yeah.
Synchronicity.
And he was the editor of the black and white magazines for a while, too. And even just the kind of little dip I did into his history, he's a real comics fan. Like, I seem to remember reading, he was one of those guys that was like a kid and would write into Marvel. Like, I think he's one of those that had one of their letters published.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I love that generation that grew up on Fantastic Four 1, blew their mind as a 7-year-old kid, and now they're writing for Marvel.
A question. What is he most associated with? Because I know his name, and I think Brad, we were talking about that he was writing this issue last episode, and Brad's kind of like, we were all kind of like, I don't have an issue with him, but not one of my favorites. And I feel like that's the response I have too. Like, when I read his name, when I open up a comic, I'm like, oh, okay. Usually.
Yeah, I think so. I reread his Ghost Rider stuff a while back, and it's pretty good. Until he brings Jesus in as a main character, which is a little weird, but
don't remember that.
It's kind of this Jesus-y guy. It's like that his like traveling buddy, the Friend.
Like, when is this? Like, approximately?
This is later 70s, I thought.
I might have dropped off by that point.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, yeah, his Ghost Rider run's pretty good. I've just seen him write various things, but nothing that I really latched onto, like you were saying.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, on to the opening page. So I think the first page is pretty good. Like, we open up with a full page illustration of Tigra facing off against the Beast. It's over this huge Hydra logo. Like, I'll admit, the Beast looks a little weird. His fur, like our fur test he's not passing my fur test.
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but he's in Mexico. So I'm thinking the humidity kind of affected his fur. So he's got like, he looks like that dryer sheet bear.
He does.
Like, he looks like he went through the dryer and somebody left him in there too long.
Yeah, he does.
Very fuzzy, was he?
It's the fuzziest that the Beast has ever looked.
Yeah,
and it's a little disturbing, and he looks weird, but it's cool, and the text is really kind of hyperbolic, which you would want it to be. It says, a man, a woman, and the rampaging hordes of Hydra, presenting the rebirth of comics' most fabulous femme star in an unexpected new role, Tigra the Werewoman. Also featuring the world-destroying final secret, which, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I can't wait till we get to the final secret. Can't wait.
This is kind of a cool splash, you know.
It is.
So, folks, if you haven't seen her, Tigra is a human form woman with tiger stripes. So she's orange with darker orange tiger stripes. She usually wears a black bikini. And she has orangish hair also and green feline eyes that are very, very slanted and strange looking in this issue. And she hung around. I don't know if people liked her or not. I first kind of met her in West Coast Avengers when I was a kid. And I never bought West Coast Avengers. I just kind of read it at the store, or when they had the markdown box and everything was like 25 cents or whatever. I would pick up one here and there, but I didn't like Silver Iron Man. Hawkeye wasn't cool yet. That was good 30 years later. And I don't know. She seemed weird. And I think she was dating Wonder Man and also dating Hank Pym. It was a weird love triangle. And I didn't like the whole thing. I never attached myself to the character. But I don't know like if she's still around. I don't know if people like her, if she's a fan favorite. I know nothing about her reputation.
No, I know nothing about her, and I don't mind her. I think she's fine. I don't really have a problem with her, but yeah, I'm not aware of where she's at exactly in the Marvel universe at this point. But it's so funny you said that, because that's what I associate her with most too, is West Coast Avengers. Mm-hmm. Which if you were a kid around that time, West Coast Avengers was a book that you kind of reluctantly bought if every other book that you wanted was out.
Yep. It was also, it started in like 84 or 83. I think it started with like a 5-issue miniseries and then became an unlimited series. So when you're a kid at that time, you felt like I'm at the beginning of something big. Like Avengers is like 280.
Yeah.
This is number 1. Like this means something. And you had to take it, man. But it was not. Were Scarlet Witch and Vision on that team?
Oh, I don't have that big of a memory of it.
Okay, I somehow
it's barely rattling around in there.
Okay, I just remember that Vision and Scarlet Witch 12-issue maxi series. I think they got married or something like that. But I thought that was all of the West Coast Avengers were the supporting characters, as well as Grim Reaper, who was somehow associated with Vision or something.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay. Anyway, sorry for rambling there. So that's Tigra. Like Jacob said, she was a maximized woman, like Captain America or something before, and now she is something else. So the giant size issues are usually broken up into 3 parts with their own individual subtitles. And I don't know why, but whenever I see the banner that says part 1 or part 2 in the title, I get kind of irritated because it reminds me how much I don't like giant size issues. And I was telling Jacob, like, I think that these are like, every time I read them in Essentials, doesn't matter if they're in black and white, in an omnibus, in a smaller trade, I can barely stay awake through them. And they feel like Jacob pointed out, I was like, these are so long. He's like, well, it's like 5 pages longer than a normal issue, padded with a bunch of shit and some reprints. And I'm like, no, it's like 65 pages. Nope, it is not. It just feels that way. So I go narcoleptic when I read these things. I thought it was a nighttime thing, so I usually read in bed when I'm getting ready for bed. I read it in the middle of a coffee break during work, and I started falling asleep on the couch in the morning.
So that's our gift to you. If you really can't sleep, just pick up a giant size issue. You'll be fine.
Yeah, if you're out of Ambien. Okay, so we got part 1. She stalks in beauty like the night. It's lovely. So there's this great huge panel at the top, and it looks like kind of a gothic romance painted cover. It's got a beach with some rocky outcroppings. Jack Russell's there with his shirt off, and he's slung over his shoulder. He's got his loafers off, and he's holding those in his other hand. He's got his pant legs rolled up, and he's kind of wandering thoughtfully through the surf. And to the left of him, up in the sky and in the ocean, is a disembodied werewolf head looking at him and growling. And then below that, to the right on the sand, is a disembodied Lissa head looking very sad and downcast. And Jack's walking along and thinking, I'm here in this Mexican beach. I just had to get out of LA for a while and kind of get my head straight. And, in addition to having this werewolf curse, my sister's going to be 18 soon. She might have it. I just, that very 70s, like, I gotta have a me moment. I gotta get my head straight. And this is the point where I alluded to earlier, where it's like, and your sister is currently being kept by a villainous underground that has her and make monsters that they send after you. But let's leave the country and go walk on the beach for a while. So he's walking along, and then he hears some pitter-patter of feet on wet sand, and a dark-haired woman in a bikini runs towards him. I didn't understand this. He says, and the gulp-gasp breathing of someone running as if their life depended on it as she approaches him. That estimate, in terms of numbers, turned out to be short by roughly 1 planet.
Wow, that makes no sense whatsoever.
I read that like 4 times. I was like, am I missing something?
No, that makes no sense to me.
Okay. I thought he was introducing a number. I thought like 2 feet, but it's not. It says, my reverie was quickly shattered. However, when I heard the sharp sound of feet slapping against wet earth. I don't know. At any rate, this woman comes running helter-skelter towards him without being aware that he's there. But I do like that illustration of the disembodied heads. That cracked me up. It's super
really
charming.
Funny. So on the next page, the woman stumbles and falls on the beach, and Jack kind of rushes up to her saying, "Are you all right, miss?" And then the text down there reads, "Something slammed into the back of my skull. And finally, what had to be Comet Kohoutek in all its glory came crashing out of a universe of spinning, flashing stars and collided with my jaw." It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to take in.
Yes. So what's happening is he's getting pistol whipped twice, once from behind and then once upside of his head. I do love when this woman falls, that first panel. There's a intentionally funny moment. It says, an image that was only slightly tarnished as she stumbled and fell to the sand, but gracefully, mind you.
It's pretty funny. It's a solid joke.
It is.
And so, next panel we see there's some Hydra goons, and they grab the girl asking her why she's sneaking around a highly confidential installation, which I love that for some reason. But she says, "Please, I didn't mean any harm," while thinking, "Just keep talking, girl. If you tell them part of a truth, they may not guess it all." So she says, "My name is Greer Nelson. I'm a secretary, and this is my first trip to Mexico." And, this page looks okay. It's serviceable. Like, I wouldn't, I mean, when a giant size issue is good, it's like, oh, okay. That's about the level of good that it is.
Yeah, the 2 panels where he's being pistol whipped have, like, as we mentioned before, a very dynamic panel. There's no background. There's just a solid, bright color to indicate that it's explosive or something. So, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's what we're going to say about a lot of this.
Yeah, I like the way they draw Greer Nelson here. I'm a Veronica guy. So, Betty Veronica. So I like the dark-haired lady. So she looks good to me.
Yeah, she does. I think Vinny might have given a shit on this page.
Yeah, looks like it. They're hassling her, and there's something weird, Jacob, for me here. She's being held by 2 Hydra guards on either side of her agent. Whatever. What are they? Agents? Hydra?
They're agents. They're called agents in here. Yeah.
So she's saying, hey, I didn't know that old cave was some kind of government thing or whatever. You guys just let me go. And the guy on her left, holding her left arm, says, "Do you think she could be telling the truth? She does seem a bit scatterbrained." And then the guy on the left says, "And do you think she believes our sacred garb to be Mexican army uniforms? Don't be a fool." That panel is supposed to be turned around, right? It's supposed to be the guy on the right answering the guy on the left, but it's the guy on the left both times.
Yeah, it is the guy on the left both times. Yeah. No, you're not crazy. It's bad. All
that needed to be was mirror flipped and it would have been fine. Anyway, they say, well, she's not just some dingo, or dingo. She's not just some bimbo. Look at that ring on her hand. She has the ring of the cat people. And she has this giant, gaudy, white, ivory panther head, pouting cat head ring on her finger. And then she wrestles free and starts running off like, "Oh, go after her, get her." She's staring at that ring and she's changing. And then he says, "You seem surprised, gentlemen, as if you hadn't recognized the symbol of Tigra, the werewoman." And she's fully transformed into her cat form.
Yeah, so this is her debut. This is her Marvel Comics debut, this panel.
Senses shattering, really.
Yeah. So next page, Tigra attacks the Hydra agents. Well, she's kind of cracking wise. Like, would you call her, like, I don't know, a more verbose Spider-Man? Like, she's a little more, she has a little more flowery language than Spider-Man might, but, she's making the jokes. She's cracking wise.
Yeah, she's maybe making the chin music.
Yeah, she is. So yeah, she knocks the Hydra agents around, and then I like that she goes to check on Jack, who she cutely calls that teenager.
He's passed out on some rocks. And on the next page, we get kind of a cool little off-panel transformation, but we get a close-up of the moon in a kind of Dutch angle and Jack's hand starting to get covered in fur. And then the next panel is the same repeated, but it's covered more in full fur and bigger claws. And he's growling, and Tigra looks surprised. And then the next panel is the beast looking up and growling, and it says "First Night." And I think I'm not going to impose it on this issue, but I think going here out based on some Raymond Coca interactions and this, I think that the new drinking game category should be the beast misdirects anger at someone for just any random action. Like in this case, what's happening, folks, is that the werewolf wakes up and his jaw hurts and the back of his head hurts like hell because Jack just got pistol whipped by two guys. So he just assumes this cat person did it and lunges at her and starts wrestling her. They're rolling around on the sand, but he's got a beast mind. It says he is stronger, but Tigra has her human intellect, and she uses leverage and momentum. Some might call it judo.
Some might call it that. over her head onto the sand. So we're taking a drink for that. Oof. Yeah, but if we're going to drink every time the beast just out of nowhere starts attacking someone, like that's 75% of his interactions with characters.
I work from home now. I don't go anywhere. So I
don't. I'm with you. I don't go anywhere. Let's drink.
So again, the art's serviceable.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think it's safe to say that we think it's serviceable unless something comes up, and something does come up quite a bit. So yeah, on the Tigra and the Beast now, they're squaring off, and she tries to calm the Beast by saying, "Easy, friend, I'm not your enemy. You're in no danger from me." And it says her speech was feline in tone, almost a purr, with a strange musical quality to it, which I liked. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I was picturing like Lauren Bacall or like young Kathleen Turner. I'm a little excited there.
Nice call with Kathleen Turner for sure. They fight some more on a beach. Yeah, again, what do you think of the beast's face on that bottom panel? Like that bottom panel, they also just look like they're having a really romantic dance.
Yeah, it looks like they're tangoing or something.
Yeah, it does look like they're tangoing. And his face looks so weird, like he's transforming back into a human.
Yeah, it looks more human than Wolf, actually. It's a little weird. And he still has that haystack of emo weird bowl cut.
He does.
So that's a Perlin thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at this point, I was not super excited or, a little nonplussed, but I was thinking it's better than Cats.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's better than Cats.
I ate some gummies and watched Cats a couple weeks ago, and Yeah, but
you had to tap out, right? How long did you actually watch it?
I think I made it 34 minutes in.
That's probably pretty good.
It was relentless. I knew nothing about Cats except that it was based on some old poems by, I forgot who. And wow, man, I never heard any of the songs except that one famous one. Was Memories or what?
Yeah,
I forget which.
That's the big one.
Yeah, but man, it was unrelenting. And nothing was happening. That's what was killing me. Like I was just, when the gummies came on and I was just like super high and I'm like, why doesn't anything happen? Like, there's no stories. Everyone's just introducing themselves and singing a song about who they are. And it's, and there's been much hay made of how creepy their faces float around the digital bodies like inconsistently. So it was giving me a bad trip. I got the idea to watch it high from some guy who wrote an article about taking mushrooms and seeing it in the theater with his wife, and he started having a panic attack. And I was like, well, let's see how this goes at home with my wife.
Yeah.
She fell asleep. Her defense mechanism is just immediately fall asleep. So I think she was asleep in like 7 minutes before Rebel Wilson showed up, or James Corden.
Boy.
I was enjoying it more than Cass. That was my point. So they're still fighting, and then a Hydra agent puts a weird pellet into a gun and shoots it from a long distance towards them, and it's called a sonic shatter cone, and it is like a concussive type of aural weapon, sonic, I guess. So it stuns them. They fall to the ground. The Hydra agents run up. They grab Tigra. She whips around, and then she tries to kind of free herself. And then these guys love pistol whipping. So they come up and pistol whip her again. And the agent says, "Hail Hydra, baby." And another agent goes, "Have a care, Agent B4. None may make use of our oath with so little respect."
It's like the funniest thing in the issue.
Yes. Hail Hydra, baby is fucking hilarious.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, the first panel reads, the werewolf came out of his sonic-induced slumber while the Hydra boys were arguing protocol. And then so the beast, like, slashes at the back of the Hydra goon. The goon's knocked out. They throw another sonic cone at the beast. He falls down. Then they take Tigra away. And we do kind of have three, I don't know, kind of cool panels down there. I like those. I think those would look cool in a little movie or something. But, yeah, they're walking away. One of them says, "But with the knowledge of the final secret in our hands, we will be strong once more." So we hear a little bit more about that final secret.
Yeah, I like this. On the bottom, like you're saying, Jacob, there's this row of 3 panels that are all kind of Perlin's used this a bit so far, like this kind of like static camera. So it's like frames from one shot. And it's the Hydra agents carrying Tiger off in the distance in the moon. And the beast's claw is in the foreground, like shaking with motion lines, like he's trying to get up. And then the next panel, they're further away, and then his hand's kind of lowering, and there's fewer motion lines. And then the last panel, it's just out. He's unconscious. Well, that's a cool sequence there, I guess.
I think so. And then at the end, it says, "End part 1."
Turn tape over now.
Yeah.
In this issue, I guess, here we get to see the beast sneak up behind a Hydra agent and slash him from behind. And that just reminded me that he kind of kicks ass this issue more than he typically does. There's like a Berserker Wolverine kind of moment at one point here. I was like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know if this comes up this way in the digital one, but this is where the Roy Thomas thing comes up in mine.
Really? Okay, yeah, they have it at the end on digital. It just goes straight to part 2 after that.
Okay. Can I just say the name of it, though?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. I think we can talk about it in order. Let's do it original.
So it's a text piece with some recent Perlin art from when Raymond Coker and the Beast were fighting in the park. And this title is, "Waiter, there's a werewolf in my soup. A few hundred frantic words from Roy Thomas, editor." And as we mentioned, this is where he talks about where the idea for, the monster titles came from, where Werewolf by Night came from, that it was Roy and his wife. And then he passed it off to Jerry. Jerry wrote it up. We went through all the stuff in the first issue, really.
Yeah, I do like that he kind of draws attention to the fact that, when the code changed, monsters had to be done in a literary tradition. And I like that in this, he's like, well, there is no literary tradition for werewolves, or at least not as much. He talks about the guy Endor, Werewolf of Paris. And, but yeah, I mean, there's not as much as there was for other monsters.
Right. Yeah. So part 2, huh? A Warrior Reborn. I feel like we could dwell really long on this because this is the meat of the issue. And it's unfortunately Jack Russell-less. And I kind of want to blow through it if that's okay.
Well, let's just go straight to the origin story. I mean, yeah, just recap that page there real fast, and we'll go right into the origin that they recap.
Okay, so we have Hydra agents down in that cave installation or whatever they called it, and they're looking around trying to find the final solution. And they've got Tigra in a cage. They're meaning to interrogate her. One Hydra guy has a cape on. I guess that means he's the supreme. I'm sorry, my Hydra knowledge is kind of old. Supreme one or something, right? Don't they have like their own sections, or isn't it like being a Mason or like in the Elks Lodge?
It's like being an elk, I think, if I'm correct. Yeah.
So yeah, they're looking around. They're saying, well, maybe that older woman can tell us. And Tigra's like, wait a minute, older woman, that could only be. And then we dive into some. Yeah.
So basically, the next couple pages are just recapping the cat's origin. The older woman, is a woman named Dr. Tumalo. And she was the one that originally did the experiments on Greer Nelson. And there's some pretty, I think we should post the bottom 3 panels in a post, just because it's showing the different abilities that Greer Nelson has gained. She's a speed reader now. She can empathize with an injured squirrel and see how injured it is. And she can swing around on an apple tree with super strength. It's an awesome montage.
It is. And that's like the equivalent of what's the famous version when Spider-Man almost gets hit by a car and he jumps up and grabs onto the light pole or something and sticks. Mm-hmm. That's her moment, but it's an apple tree.
It is. It's pretty great. I like it, and I actually like those 3 panels. But yeah, it's just the origin of the cat, just taken from Claws of the Cat #1.
Yeah, and there's a wild panel where they just cram in basically all 4 issues worth. I'm guessing because I haven't read it, but this villain and this person dies, and then the villain commits suicide, and then the owl, which is a Daredevil villain traditionally, takes Dr. Tumlo, and it's just a bunch of weird, convoluted 70s nonsense.
It is. It's really funny.
Then she continues on. This is all a big flashback, as we can tell from the bubbly thought balloon panels. There's like the edges that have the little bubbles, which tells us the flashback, which is a thing I always like. And so, yeah, I don't know if this part's a flashback. This feels like it's new.
Yeah, this is new right here.
Okay, so the Hydra agents lead Dr. Tumlo out of the house. Greer starts following them. There's some weird Nurse Ratched character with these Hydra agents that, like, she's wearing those, what do you call those? Like, it's not a French maid cap, but it's like those little weird elastic band white nurses caps.
Like weird bonnets. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like a weird bonnet. Anyway, I could not figure out what the hell she was doing there. She's in her cat uniform, which is way cooler than Tigra, in my opinion. But she starts kicking their asses. Am I stepping on your stuff here? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I just kept going.
The cat jumps down and takes out the Hydra agents. But yeah, I'm going to call her a Hydra nurse. Shoots her with an alpha radiation pistol, which Dr. Tumlo sees her fall and thinks, oh, that was an alpha radiation pistol. Greer is doomed to die a lingering, painful death. She's only got one slim chance. For the first time in years, there must be a gathering of the cat people. And then we have one panel where Greer they fly off to some distant unknown location.
Yeah, and she wakes up in this cat people lair, which is where we just were when the Hydra guys were sacking it, looking for the final. I almost said final solution. That's not it.
You did say that back a little bit before.
What is it called?
The final secret.
Secret. Damn. That's way less grim. Yeah, so she wakes up and she sees these kind of like shitty ass Dr. Moreau cat people that are like, but instead of being different animals, it's all just cat people with their like shitty Thundercats. Dr. Tumlo starts explaining, we evolved from cats just like, humans evolved from apes. We've lived among you for a long time, but somehow secretly. There's this great panel where she's saying we were persecuted because of our oddness and small numbers. And this panel shows 3, puritanical pilgrims with their little buckled hats on and everything, yelling at cat people in pilgrim outfits and pointing away saying, get out of here. You're different. We don't like you.
But they obviously
I laughed out loud.
They obviously came over on the Mayflower with them.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
They have the same hats. We have the same hats.
We have the same hats. We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah. They did strike back on those people with a secret weapon that was so terrible that they had to kind of repent for that deed, and they go underground, and that's the final secret. Dr. Tumlo sums up by saying you're going to die from this alpha radiation, so there's only one way to save you.
Yeah, and she explains they can save her by changing her into a cat person. So she explains there's a transformation process, and it works on 3 levels. The ring, the cat ring we saw earlier, has mystic powers. There's a serum gas that's the chemical power that's kind of coming out of this, cat, panther, kind of, let's say, incense holder.
And Reiki massage.
Yeah. And then the cat people all harnessing their mental powers, they're all holding hands, and that's the 3rd level. So yeah, Greer is on this altar. They're all holding hands, Narration reads, I felt their minds intermine. I learned much in those moments, how they learn to assume human form, and just kind of goes off. There's some mist. And then all the cat people and Dr. Tumalo are looking very surprised. And she says, yes, in the distant past, a human woman who became one of us, a great warrior called.
We turn the page and there's a giant full-page illustration, Tigra. And she's standing there in her full feline form, arms raised, kind of like on a catwalk at a fashion show, no pun intended. And the cat people are looking up at her in amazement. At this point, I'm gritting my teeth as I'm reading this. Like, I don't like the cat people. I don't like this transformation. I thought the cat was way more interesting than Tigra. So I was not digging this at all.
No, and that's why we're just gonna move through it. So Hydra arrives and attacks the cat people. So, Dr. Tumalo tells Tigra, no, Greer, you're still weak. You've got to escape now so you can aid us later. She's like, concentrate on the ring and you'll go back to your human form. Now go out here to the beach. And so that basically leads us back to the present of where Jack saw Greer running on the beach. So we're caught up.
Yep.
End of part 2.
And now we're in part 3. Some say the world will die. Please stop me if I say final solution again.
I will. I'm so sorry I didn't stop you that first time. I didn't realize you did it until I'll stop you next time because I know. I'm sure you'll probably have to edit that out.
Nope.
Nice.
I'm going to leave this in too.
Awesome.
So this says second night, and Jack wakes up on the beach growling in his beast form, which means essentially that he has been unconscious from the sonic cone of shame. What was it? Sonic cone for 24 hours. So he basically turned back into Jack when the sun came up, was conked out on the beach all day long, and then the moon rose and he turned back into the beast, which is a trip. And he is angry. He's raging because the Catwoman, who's kind of like him by his estimation, is gone now, and those green guys took her. And so he's thinking about her in this cute little panel where he's like, there's a little thought balloon. He sees Tigra. And this is the only thing I liked about this issue was this kind of pathos, the way that Isabella wrote about Jack being lonely as not Jack, sorry, the Beast being lonely as being the only kind of himself, besides Coker, the only kind of himself that doesn't have he wants a girl.
He does.
Girl wolf.
He does.
And Tigra's kind of like that. So he saw in her a companion. And so he picks up her scent and starts tracking it to follow her and see where she went.
Yeah, so the narration gets a little highfalutin here. It's like talking about what you had mentioned on the previous page. I wonder if the werewolf felt something akin to that, because it says Jack Russell had known love in his young life. And so he's just kind of going on describing that, the werewolf could be lonely. Did the werewolf have emotions? Yeah, after that, the beast just sneaks into the Hydra facility, pounces on the goons, and just starts beating the shit out of them. And then he sees Tigra in the cage, and he hates cages. So he goes over, and the two of them work together and bend the bars to free Tigra.
I actually like this page, only, if nothing else, because in that bottom left panel, he, in one slash, fucking wrecks 2 Hydra agents, shreds their cowls, which seem like their armor, essentially. So he's super powered by rage right now. And I like that he had the forethought he sneaks in through this little tunnel and he's above everybody and he dives down on them. I love when he does the dive bomb attack.
It is really awesome.
And yeah, and then he frees Tigra. So this page is okay as far as like events.
Yeah.
He's still a little dodgy up there when he's sneaking through the tunnel, through the cave, into the tunnel, into the base. He's got that microphone head of hair there. I don't know. Jacob, I don't know.
This is rough.
Yeah.
Are you feeling it?
I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
So he's kicking these guys' ass. It's not quite a Wolverine Berserker rage. Maybe I oversold that, but he does kick some ass here. But at one point, a Hydra guy shoots at him. I don't know if it's a gun. It says Zat, whatever that is. Maybe it's a laser. It kind of wings the beast on his right shoulder, and it says cyst. So I think it's like a laser burning his fur or his flesh. and he growls in anger, and then he slashes that dude. Tigra's beating up some other Hydra guys. I love this bottom left panel. The Beast picks up one Hydra agent by the throat, and in his other arm, he's got like a guy's uniform in shreds, and he's just holding him like a rag doll. That's badass. And then the next panel, he has that dude up in his new favorite attack mode, which is body slam wrestler mode. So yeah, he's just destroying these dudes, and I love it because we see him get his ass handed to him so much.
Yeah, it's nice to see him go on a rage. And so he's doing this. Tigra and Dr. Tumalo take off smartly. And so the Beast follows them, sees them run into a Hydra agent with one of those radiation guns. And he makes the snap judgment to jump on the Hydra agent. And they both start to tumble over this cliff. And the Beast does the uncharacteristic move of kind of saving the agent by holding onto his foot. And Tigra then pulls both of them up and says, "Don't you see?" she says. "He's not just a beast." So yeah, then Dr. Tumalo, which I love, they kind of leave him there, and the Beast starts following them again. And Dr. Tumalo says, "Greer, it's the werewolf again. And dear, preposterous though it may sound, I think it's in love with you." And she goes, "What?"
Yeah, so this page is especially G.I. Joe playset absurd because, like you're saying, it's a cliche thing where you're escaping, and then there's the one guy in your way who's got a gun. He's like, "Halt!"
Yeah.
But the cliff that they go over appears to be some type of lava pit or something, like totally absurd. It's on fire or whatever the fuck it is. It's burning. It's just weird.
Yeah, there's lava there.
So he grabs that guard, like you said, and catches him. And I was wondering, like, did Isabella actually read issue 17 and like go, "Oh, the Beast has had empathy with another shunned thing before, the Hunchback, and so he has like a kind of knee-jerk reaction to try and save things"?
I'm going to say I bet he did not have time to go back and read those back issues before he had to turn this story in.
Because he pitched it the night before?
Yeah.
Well, all right. I was trying. I want to say something nice.
I want to say something nice, but then I see this next page. And it's not finished, right?
It feels a little slapdash.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jack has freed all the cat people that the Hydra agents had rounded up and locked into a cell. They're shooting lasers at them, and it's kind of a weird jailbreak situation. At this point, Dr. Tumalo says, "Get everybody out of here. If Hydra wants the final secret so bad, I'm going to give it to them." And she starts cranking this giant valve. And the Beast is the first one to smell it because dogs have better senses of smell than cats. Everybody knows cats have good eyesight and hearing. Dogs have good noses. So the Beast picks up on it first, and it makes him ill. The other cat people all go and start running out of the room because they know what this is. And so they leave. I did like this next page.
This next page is pretty cool. It's a weird layout. It's like three panels. There's one, it's like broken down the middle of the page, and there's one really long panel on the left and two smaller panels on the right. And the one on the left is the gas starts choking and killing the Hydra agents. Tigra says, "What is in that gas?" And then Dr. Tumalo says the gas was merely a carrier of a bacteria culture that is very old, very deadly. It had only been used once before. On that occasion, men also died from it and christened it with the most terrible name they could think of. They called it the Black Plague. And she says, "Lord, what have I done? The Black Plague?"
I kind of like this reveal. This is one of my favorite parts of the issue. In that big, long vertical panel on the left where the Hydra agents are like clutching at their cowls and their collars and, screaming and freaking out. This is pretty gruesome here. It says sores appeared on their bodies. They vomited blackish blood. And in that isolated cavern, they died horribly. So that's, I mean, I know Hydra agents are disposable, but, every once in a while they'll do a Spider-Man story or that character Bob or whatever in Deadpool where it's like they spotlight one and it's like, this is a guy. Yeah. Actually, that Spider-Man story, what I'm talking about, where it's like the whole issue is based around this guy who's a henchman and like makes you empathize with a henchman. It wasn't Hydra, but he was like Kingpin's guy or the Owl or something like that. And it's this really sympathetic story, like showing his position where like his family's desperate and he's been in the pen before. He tries to go straight when he gets out, and then he immediately his like daughter's sick and he has to. It's really sad. Anyway, It was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, it's a gruesome panel. I mean, it is really cool though. This page is pretty neat, and the reveal's funny.
Funny?
It is.
Okay. Well, I couldn't help but think though that Dr. Tumwell is horrified that she did this and she brought the Black Plague back, and I was like, honey, just stick around. Anti-vaxxers are going to do way worse than this. This is nothing. They're going to bring back tuberculosis,
measles. Even.
Yeah. Anyway, here's something that clanked around to me like a typewriter thrown down a flight of stairs. They try to seal off the plague germs so it doesn't get out into the outside air. And then Tigra's like, I thought you made an antidote for this. And then she's like, well, yeah, but that worked only in ancient times because now we have car exhaust, smog, Lord knows what else in the air, and that wouldn't be effective. So, released in 1974, those germs would live up to the name we gave them, the final secret. So there's this weird eco thing thrown in with pollution.
Yeah.
I thought that was really ham-handed.
A little bit.
And I'm a hippie. I'm a clean-cut hippie guy. So at any rate, so the werewolf grabs onto Tigra's arm, and she's like, uh-oh, looks like Doc's wild shot was on target. This guy likes me, She's like, so how do I brush off a werewolf? She just slashes at him and says, like, I'm not into you, whatever. And he goes, rawr, and he's mad. They're kind of squaring off to fight, I guess, There's this weird crack from Tigra that says, what do you suggest? We take up housekeeping in Chicago and howl at the moon together?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Dr. Tumwell says he's only attracted to you because in his eyes, you're just like him. But we can change that. Concentrate on the ring.
Yeah, so Greer is concentrating on the ring and turns back into her human form, which confuses and kind of disgusts the beast somehow. And then there's a small panel on the right-hand side, upper side, of the beast looking really sad. It is sad. He turns away. And then Greer kind of unwittingly turns back into Tigra. And Dr. Tumwell says, I'm sorry, Greer, you've adapted completely to your new body. You may never be able to change again. And so it kind of ends on that note. The beast is walking sadly down the beach. The final panel says, third night, the werewolf was alone. And that's the end.
But I thought this one was particularly sad because she's saying, hey, don't cry for me. I'm totally happy in this new body. But, I wonder, what does someone like the werewolf have? I think he must be very lonely. And as she's saying this, we see the beast from a bird's eye view walking along the beach by himself. And she continues, or the narrative continues, he fled into the rising sun, not stopping until its rays had transformed him into Jack Russell. And then the last panel says, third night. So he wandered around by himself for like a day.
Yeah, I had to think about that. I know.
And it cuts to third night. It's him howling at the moon by himself. The werewolf was alone. That's heartbreaking.
It is. It's pretty sad.
But I mean, he turns back into Jack, so it's not like it's some eternal fate. But I don't like to think of him lonely. He's always at the forest.
Yeah, the forest is his only friend.
Oh, we skipped over a drink, my friend.
Where?
Page 3. Forgetting exactly what night it was that stole silently over the land, shit. I rushed to the lady's aid.
All right.
Huh? We went so fast I didn't read all my notes. So you don't get this, but I have the reprint, which was from Creatures on the Loose number 13. I believe that's from like 71 or 72. But it was written by Lynn Wein and drawn by Reed Crandall, who I love.
Yeah, I do too. He's awesome.
And that was a cool little story. And this is basically like this guy has become blind, and they take some spinal fluid from a wolf. I forgot why the pseudoscience explains that exactly, but he turns into a werewolf because of it. And weird little story.
Okay.
But fun. So we've been talking about thoughts through this whole thing.
Yeah, I had a hard time coming up with separate final thoughts that weren't just like, this is a snore fest. If you're following along at home, this is not necessary. I'm just not sure any of that. So if you have to go out of your way, if you have Marvel Unlimited and you can just breeze through one, to see how stupid it is, great. But if you have to go and spend money or any time trying to find these, don't.
Right. I mean, this isn't like so cartoonish that it's obscene or anything, but it's definitely got a goofy. I mean, we've been dealing with even the lamest old horror trope character repurposed into a modern thing for Werewolf by Night has been better than this. Like, it's weird having, they originally said like we don't want to have the werewolf meeting Spider-Man. That would be weird, but they did it, and it wasn't that weird. But this starts to feel weird when you bring in like Hydra is a very like Captain America, bright. Just it's a very cartoony thing, right? I mean, I get it, but it feels really weird to have Jack thrown into this. And I mean, he's Jack Russell for like one page of this. Like, they make a point of like having him be unconscious or off screen essentially for every moment he's Jack, this entire 36 or whatever this is, 25 pages.
Yeah.
That was weird. But these do tend to feel cartoony to me. They get bigger and bigger. I think there's one where I swear to God, like Spider-Man and the Frankenstein monster are like fighting AIM agents like in the Alps, like the fucking Beatles and Help. There's that's where these stories go. Like these shitty stories that should just go and die, go into giant size things and get padded. Like they're bad stories to start and they get padded. In the same way that Scooby-Doo would be like, there's Carol Burnett and the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, Mama Cass bought a candy factory that's haunted.
Yeah, totally. Like, the beast is stuck in the devil's well. Only Harlem Globetrotters and Tim Conway can help him get out. Like, it feels like that level.
It does. It really does. Yeah, so I had a really hard time. I know I'm not a fan either. I think this is the worst issue that we've covered.
Easily. Yeah,
by far. Like, I would take the lamest Werewolf by Night regular title issue over one of the giant size ones.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't like Hangman. I think this is many floors below that.
Oh, I would read Hangman all day long over this stuff. So yeah, it's rough.
It is rough. So I'm glad that that's over. But there's going to be more.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
At least in some of the other ones, like there's Morbius and there's like monsters that make more sense than this pair up. Because this felt to me like, it's a story in 3 parts, and the middle third is all Tigra's flashback and explaining how she got to where the story started in media res. And I don't care. Yeah. So in my mind, you could almost cut out the middle and just make it a concise, very mediocre story.
Yeah. No, I think we talked about it the exact amount.
Yeah. Maybe too long, but
maybe a little too long.
Yeah. But I did like that that kind of sad Hulk thing at the end there with the beast wandering along the beaches of Mexico, no idea where the fuck he is, and just missing the one thing that he could relate to and that he was attracted to as a being. That was kind of sad. Pathetic in a classical sense.
Yeah, and because it's a giant size, we don't have wear-mail.
No, we don't. I read somewhere in here, maybe it was in Roy's thing, I forgot, but somewhere they said basically like that same thing about like next up will be Man-Thing, and like they still were on this plan at this point.
Yeah.
So it's weird, between quarters they definitely said let's just retitle it Werewolf by Night and just abandon that thing, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no wear-mail.
No wear-mail, but we do have some brand new issues of Werewolf by Night to talk about. The ones written by B. Earl and Taboo, drawn by Scott Eaton, and Jeffrey Vareghi does great art, at least in the middle of the 3rd issue. So yeah, we'll talk about issues 3 and 4 of the limited series.
Yeah, so this limited series has wrapped now as of a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I think.
So I got caught up today. I'd read the first half, and now I'm up to date. And what do you think of the work as a whole, as a 4-issue whole story?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was really fun. I think my favorite issues were 1 and 3.
Me too. Samesies.
Yeah. I kind of figured.
Yeah.
But I liked it all. It's a really fun series that just seems like, oh, this is super fun. But then, like, in the middle of the third issue, there's this one, like, issue 2 is, you know, there's a lot of monster fights. And don't get me wrong, I love monster fights. But like folklore, legend, and backstory, that's my language. So when I saw, the spread that Jeffrey Verhege does, it's the Song of the Wolf legend, and it's done in like this native style with a guide on the previous page to help you decipher what is represented in this piece of art, and it's fucking awesome.
I would say if you haven't seen it, the easiest reference would be like hieroglyphics, essentially, you know, that kind of storytelling art that's in a linear structure, you know, early comics, essentially. This Verhege centerfold here, it wraps around in these semicircles and it shows this story that you get the lyrics to or whatever on the previous page. Completely cool use of the medium. Really interesting way to display it. The art's freaking gorgeous. I loved it. I loved Red Wolf as a character. He's traveled through time, and so he's displaced like Captain America is. So it's cool to get this Native American wisdom and these generational, like, it seemed like he's inhabited more times than I realized.
I think so, that. But I like how this Red Wolf didn't seem like a man out of time or like a fish out of water. Like he is very self-assured, very confident, very knowledgeable.
That's what it's appealing about him. Like he takes all of the tribal wisdom and whatever that, you know, you might associate with that kind of upbringing, and he applies it to the situation he's in. So when he's in a weird shield type world of like mega tech weapons, he just applies his understanding of the world and his philosophy to it, and he understands it and he's not put off by it. There's a really cool thread of spirituality through this whole thing when his partner JJ uses that net gun to subdue our werewolf, and he's wrapped up and he starts singing to him this song, this tribal song, to calm him down and control him. That is beautiful. And then he talks about his philosophy here on this following page. And he's like, you know, I fought many battles and lived many lives. I have always felt the name Red Wolf has been bigger than me, a name that lives outside of time. And you see these two eyes. One's the wolf eye on the top half, and the bottom panel completes the top half panel, and it's a human eye. And all within the whites of the eyes is different incarnations that Red Wolf has lived in his different lives. It continues, maybe that is what we all are, ideas that jump bodies through time. Our choices tune ourselves as one tunes an instrument. When our ideas and our bodies are completely in harmony, only then can we be our truth, the truth that the Creator gives us potential to be, the song of the body and soul. So, I mean, this issue for me was full of this type of like spirituality and metaphysical kind of philosophy that I get totally turned on by. So I loved issue 3 passionately.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've really made the coolest version yet of Red Wolf. At least the ones that I've seen. I've seen most of them. I didn't check out the series that came before this. The last time I saw Red Wolf was probably in David Walker's Occupy Avengers.
Okay.
Which is kind of like a buddy comedy with Hawkeye and Red Wolf. This is pretty good. It's a cool series.
I didn't realize there was anything since that.
Yeah, I saw just on Marvel Unlimited, I noticed that there was one, like a 6-issue series or something. I wasn't quite sure.
Okay.
But I think Jeffrey Verhege did the covers for those. Sure looked like he did. He has a very distinct style.
So I really liked that issue 3 was essentially Red Wolf's story, like taking his perspective on this part of the story. It worked for me on every level, narratively, prose-wise, voice, metatextual, and, you know, that, like we're saying, the song and that spread of the different artists. So cool. I love 3. 4 was the mirror of 2. This is very much, you know, 1 and 3 are very much companion pieces, I think, and 2 and 4 are also very much the same. And I guess I feel like the villains, not the big bad, but like the villains that were unwilling villains, just felt very 90s to me. Just kind of cybernetic, you know, insecty things, cybernetic wolfy guy, cybernetic some cat woman. I don't know what she was, but it just felt a little, I don't know what to say about that. I know what I liked about the series is what I can can tell you for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to give too many spoilers away for issue 4, but yeah, shit goes down at Life Pharmaceuticals, and it's a good ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, it made me kind of think about the different identities of each of the issues and just how 1 and 3 were very similar, and 2 and 4 were also very similar. And remember, like Ben and Taboo talked about how they would consider their sessions kind of ping pong sessions. They would just go back and forth, and it really made me wonder if they took lead on one issue and then switched around to the other guy, then kind of threw it back.
Having plowed through it today and let it steep, I felt like that was my initial thought. And then after I sat with it for a while, I realized I think that there's actually a bigger plan here. I think they were very intentional with it. I think the first one introduces Jake's world and his family and his situation. And then issue 2 is him kind of going buck wild and being unleashed or whatever, like this very visceral, physical thing outside of his family, outside of his world and life. And then issue 3 is like Red Wolf pulling him back in and saying, this is not how you do this. This is not going to work. You need to be connected to your people and your past and your, all the things that are valued by our people. And then issue 4 is kind of all those things coming together and just being the big climactic finale. I don't know.
No, you're right. I think I think that makes a lot of sense. No, it does seem very deliberate. It's not. I don't think their pacing or their storytelling is messy at all in these 4 issues. I think it's very deliberate, and they obviously worked really hard to get it that way. But yeah, I'm curious. I know they're doing a completely different series next, and they're doing that Ghost Rider series, which I think is another miniseries. But I'm really curious what plans they might have for Jake Gomez in the new ones. Curious when he's going to show up again.
Yeah, I would love to see him in a team book. I would love to see him adapted to another format. I really like the character a lot. It's got a sweet heart, sweet core.
No, it's a great character, and I'm sure it's really going to have legs and show up in a bunch of different places in the Marvel Universe in the future. And
I want this take on Red Wolf to be around. I really like this Red Wolf.
Oh man, me too. But it's just it's such a they just struck the perfect balance with him, and it's got to be tough. He's a tough character. Just the man out of time thing, and how to handle that really deftly to make it work so well is hard, and they did a great job with it.
Yeah, I think in the hands of lesser writers, it would be a bunch of man out of time, fish out of water jokes, like you were saying, like just some, comedy, buddy comedy kind of off stuff, and then some hyper heroics, the way the film world might kind of handle that in the hands of a lesser director or something. But
yeah, or like Red Wolf's appearance in the Silver Age Avengers, that kind of thing. It's just, very heavy handed.
Yeah, and this felt like it was fully integrated, fully realized, and really balanced, and it worked. And I guess ultimately the things that I really connected with in this 4-issue series were all the things where it's Jake and Red Wolf's world and their values and their history and their connecting to who they are as people in the world, in the tribe and the res in the universe. That really attracted me, and the tech, the villainy stuff, I didn't connect with as much. So I totally recommend it. I thought it was a great read. Great art, good writing. It was fun. I hope to see more from this character.
Yeah, and everybody that has Marvel Unlimited, the first issue just showed up I think last week or the week before. So you can definitely start checking it out, and we highly recommend it.
And I wonder how that would read in one sitting, because I think 4 issues I would probably sit down with a cup of coffee on Sunday morning and read the entire trade, and I might read differently. You know what I mean? Like reading issue 2 all by itself and then waiting a month for issue 3. I don't know if that did any favors. I think it probably could have just been its own book.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to reread the whole thing and just see how that plays out. Because it's a lot of times it's a different experience reading a trade than waiting for every issue.
Well, I mean, doesn't the story take place essentially over like 2 or 3 nights? So yeah. I think it would read better that way. Just my thoughts. Anyway, yeah, please, more Red Wolf, more Jake Gomez. I'm a fan.
Me too.
Speaking of being a fan, sometimes you and I watch werewolf movies, and I'm kind of cheap, from my That's Cool That's Trash days. I try and find stuff that's free. And I like that actress. What was her name?
From the Red Riding Hood movie? Amanda Seyfried?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, teenager, so I've seen Mean Girls probably 15 times. She's awesome. She's freaking hilarious in that. And you and I are David Lynch maniacs. She was in David Lynch's Twin Peaks: The Return. She was great in that. And I knew that this came out around 2012. And I saw from Tubi's app that, it said these movies are leaving soon. I was like, I didn't hear much about Red Riding Hood, but I'm assuming it's a werewolfy thing. And I'll just watch it, see what happens. And I told you, and you're like, I'll watch it too, and we can talk about it. And that was a couple weeks ago because we had Brad on, and I didn't want to talk about Red Riding Hood with Brad Elmore, the director, on the show. That being said, this was directed by the person that did the Twilight trilogy, quadrology. Didn't they break one of them up into two, like Harry Potter? Anyway, we watched it. I watched it. Let's talk about it.
Oh, do we have to? It was pretty terrible.
Yeah. So Renee, I had it on, and Renee was on the couch kind of doing her own thing and, commenting here and there as it went along. And she was like, God, they even got the poor man's Gary Oldman. I was like, that's Gary Oldman. She's like, no, it's not. I was like, yes, it is. She's like, Gary Oldman would not be in this steaming pile of shit. I was like, honey, he's made some terrible films, and that's him. She's like, would not believe me, but refused to look up on her phone for some reason. So we argued about it. And that was more interesting than most of the film was. But how would you pitch this? It's from the creators, or from the cinematic Twilight people. So you've already got a sense of how it feels cinematically.
Well, that's the whole pitch. It's just like, have the Twilight people do Red Riding Hood, put Gary Oldman in it as like the wolf hunter, have a bunch of hormones, and it's just really, really bad. I had a really hard time getting through it.
Yes, but the lead is much better than the lead in Twilight. I don't care for Kristen Stewart personally.
No, I'm with you on that. No, Amanda was great. Like, she's great in most everything you'll see her in. Like,
she made it bearable.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she's just a good actress.
Yeah.
So, she'll rise above the material. But yeah, the material was so bad.
So another actor that's in it is the guy that plays Bella's dad in the Twilight films plays Red Riding Hood's dad. So the director liked working with him a lot, I guess. Yeah. So the premise here is this is 1700s. Is it France? I didn't really feel connected. It has that weird anywhere, anytime
medieval
Twilight. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, it was so anachronistic that Red Riding Hood's love interest had like gelled up hair. Like,
yeah, that was the immediate breaking point for me. And that's like 7 minutes into the film.
Yeah. No, the dude, I was like,
oh God.
Yeah. People didn't put cum in their hair in the 1700s, did they?
Yeah.
Apparently they did.
Oof. It's rough. It's really rough for so many reasons.
So the premise is that there's this village, small town of people, almost looks like a Civil War fort or something like that. And they live in this very small town, and they're being preyed upon by a wolf that they believe is a werewolf. And then Red Riding Hood's little sister dies. I'm not going to try and dwell too hard because it doesn't deserve it. No. But basically, Gary Oldman's character comes to town. He's a reverend or a minister whose wife was a werewolf, and he killed her, and so he's kind of a werewolf hunter from the church, I think. And people, before he shows up, go on a wolf hunt to kill the werewolf, and they bring the head back, and he says, that's not a werewolf, that was just a wolf, because if it were a werewolf, it would have turned back into a human head when you severed its head. Yeah. So yeah, there's a little bit of a Salem witch hunt kind of thing where people blame other people for stuff to incriminate them and get revenge on them for things. It's a mystery, essentially, who is the actual werewolf in the village, because it's someone that's in this village. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not going to spoil it in case you want to watch it, but I would.
Oh my God.
I think I got to where they had the 90210 hair, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. What is this rated on Rotten Tomatoes? 17%.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
See,
So
I
was like,
checked out
oh,
at that
shit.
point. I checked back in when I realized I'm like, holy shit, that's Julie Christie, who plays her grandma.
I love Julie Christie.
I love Julie Christie.
Yeah. So she's essentially a red herring in this. She's Red Riding Hood's grandma. So you're led to believe the whole time that she is actually the werewolf, and it's pretty obvious she's not. But again, I won't spoil who actually is. But technically, it's not interesting. It's lavish in whatever way that Twilight is, like lots of digital stuff. Just felt very hollow and very superficial. And Amanda Seyfried or whatever is good, but I wouldn't recommend watch anything else she's done, literally, than this. I actually enjoyed the last act a little bit because I hated the first hour so much that I was kind of invested. Like once it picked up and it's revealed who the werewolf is and the fight and all the stuff, I was like, okay, this is okay.
It was okay. It didn't save it for me, but it was okay.
No, it's trash. Oh, wrong show. Sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun, so it's a trash for me. But it's funny because you and I were talking before we started recording tonight that I'm a huge fan of The Company of Wolves, which came out in 85, 84. It
was even earlier, but
by Neil Jordan. And I had shared that with you like around Halloween, I think, when we kind of first started the show, and said, I recommend you check this out. It's kind of like a cool way of like modernizing and realisticalizing some kind of Grimm's fairy tales around wolves, essentially. Mm-hmm. And it has Angela Lansbury in it, and David Warner, who I fucking love, and who's the other guy that plays the husband? He was in The Crying Game. I always forget that guy's name.
I know. He works with Neil Jordan a lot. I can't remember.
Anyway,
it was so cool to see David Warner in it.
Yeah, I love David Warner, man. I watch anything he does. Yeah, so it's funny. I was watching that movie and thinking, I wish I were watching this movie, The Company of Wolves, again. And you and I were talking, and you said, what'd you say?
Well, I said, I watched The Company of Wolves tonight. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we're going to talk about Red Riding Hood. Do I need to watch that again or look up anything about it? And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not going to spend any time with that. And then I had remembered that you had given me The Company of Wolves. And so I'm like, I got a couple hours before we're going to start recording. I'm just going to watch The Company of Wolves. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It's amazing. Highly recommend it. I was starting to tell you before, but I decided to stop. The first time I saw that, I was saying that my parents owned a convenience store, and we got these videos and posters and promotional materials. And the poster, if you haven't seen it, is like a guy with a wolf snout coming out of his mouth. So it's that idea of like the wolf being literally inside of you and coming out. So your skin shedding like a snake skin, and the wolf comes out. And I think in the distance, in the background, Little Red Riding Hood is on a forest path watching this happen. And that is body horror, and I am really sensitive to body horror. So that freaked me out back when I was 9 or 10, when this was like a poster and a video box and VHS. And I got around to watching it probably 5-6 years later. And a bunch of my friends and I were on acid, and we've been running around all night doing weird shit, like going to 7-Eleven and getting nachos and doing donuts in the park, and kind of wound down like around 3, because it's that acid that's really bad and has tons of strychnine in it. So you're just all fucking wigged out all night long. So we were trying to come down like at 3 or 4 in the morning. I was like, I have this movie I took to my parents' store. We got to watch this. So we popped it in, got completely transfixed by it. But we were all really obsessed with the girl that plays Little Red Riding Hood, essentially. She's a very weird, like she seems like she's 12 in one scene and then like 25 in another scene. Like her face is very asymmetrical and photogenic, but strange at the same time. And she's childlike but mature and turns, and we couldn't tell if that was just the acid or if that was actually her. But I watched it sober and I was like, no, she's actually kind of trippy. She's a trippy chick. She's
a really trippy actress. And I looked, and she didn't do a whole lot of stuff. Like she came from dance. Yeah, she did Company of Wolves, and then did a Snow White movie that had like Diana Rigg in it, and then didn't do anything until like I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, did like 2 indies, but that's it. She has like 4 IMDb credits.
Yeah. I have a very strong emotional association with that film because of that weird early morning, late night watch.
God, I bet. That must have been kind of terrifying, though, because there's a lot of different transformations in this movie. A couple are more terrifying than some, but yeah. And I loved the structure, how it's like a Russian nesting doll of a movie. Like, you know, the main structure is this girl who's in the 80s, you know, like falling asleep and dreaming of herself in a medieval time. And then the different characters in that time tell stories to the other characters, which become different stories. And yeah, it was really cool.
I love the structure.
Oh, it's so cool. And they really pulled it off well. And Angela Lansbury is awesome in it.
I mean, she's always great.
I kind of love her.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's really funny. Like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, they started running, you know, Murder, She Wrote reruns on one of the free channels. And Alicia and I would see one and we'd be like, oh, these are so terrible. You know, and we'd watch it and laugh. Swear to God, during this pandemic, we've watched a ton of Murder, She Wrote, and I love it. My brain has been damaged to the point to where now I'm like, no, I want to watch Murder, She Wrote. It's really happy, really comforts me.
Yeah, I always watched that at my grandma's with her. Well, I didn't choose to watch it. It was on, right? So yeah. I have a very warm association with that as well, but also because Wings Hauser was in several of them.
Oh, yeah. He's in like 4, and he's great.
Playing different characters every time.
Yeah. No, I loved it. So, yeah, I loved Angela Lansbury was great in it. David Warner is great. God, he had such a run in the early 80s. Fucking Time Bandits and, God, I mean, just so many good. Yeah, Tron. I just rewatched Tron the other day. I was like, oh, I got to watch this. Loved it. Still love it. Yeah.
He was also in several Amicus and maybe even some Hammer anthology films. He's great in all those anthology movies as horror little portmanteaus. Any other media stuff? I've read a couple things, but
not for me.
I did want to mention that last week I was talking about Kill or Be Killed by Brubaker and Phillips, and I neglected to mention that it was colored by Elizabeth Breitweiser, and I feel bad because she gets billing the same as they do, and her coloring is fucking amazing in it. So I was reading volume 2 since the last episode, and I was like, I should credit her. She's so integral. It's like the Dave Stewart and the Mignola Hellboy verse. Like, it feels criminal to not bring them in.
Yeah, to where it's such a part of the
integral
story. Yeah, I feel that way about a few colorists, Jordi Belair especially. Like with her work on Pretty Deadly. Like the book just couldn't exist without her colors.
Right. No.
And she's so good, anyways. Like, Jesus, everything she does is good. No, I mean, there's, you know, you can be a colorist and a superstar these days. Yeah. And it's well earned. It should have always been like that.
Yep, I agree. Totally. Are you a Greg Rucka fan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Have you read Black Magic? I just checked that out digitally, and I've never even heard of it.
No, I've really wanted to check it out, though. The art looks really cool. It's a woman. I can't remember her name.
Nicola Scott.
Yeah, and she's really cool. Well, you know, I listened. I don't know if they're going to do it anymore, but I listened to that like weekly podcast that he did through most of the pandemic with this woman named Mimi Chan. And they did this every week. They would just like, you know, talk for 2 hours. And it became really it became really comforting to just hear Rucka just yell about stuff for an hour. It's like mostly politics, a little bit comics. And no, it made me love Rucka as a person because he's just cantankerous enough to where you're like, I love that guy. But he goes right up to the line.
Who is Mimi Chan? What does she do?
She's a martial arts instructor. I think it's Kung Fu. She was actually the model for Mulan.
Oh, wow.
In the movie Mulan. And yeah, she looks exactly like fucking Mulan because she is. And she does this.
How do they know each other?
Mimi Chan is a big comics fan and ended up like, I think I got on her radar just looking for comic podcasts. And yeah, Rucka was on. She's had a lot of cool comic people on. She said Rucka and Kelly Sue and David Walker, basically the Portland people that we only talk about.
Well,
so
is she Portland?
No, she lives in Florida. But yeah, just kind of met and became friendly with these people at cons. And, you know, she'll sometimes do cons and appearances because, you know, she's a bit of a figure herself. And yeah, I loved it. I really liked it. But no, I'm a big Rucka fan. I really like the last thing he did for DC was the Lois Lane series. Very noir. I think if you can check out the volumes that are collected of that, I highly recommend it. It was great. And it has the Renee Montoya question in it a lot too. Oh. So I think you would really like it.
I would. I'm looking right now on Hoopla.
Yeah, it was that whole thing, you know, when Bendis went to DC and then, you know, Fraction did Jimmy Olsen, Rucka did Lois Lane. I think Bendis and Walker did that Naomi that just got picked up for a series by CW, I think.
Lois Lane, Enemy of the People?
Yeah.
Okay. It is borrowed.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're going to love it. Yeah, I really, really like that. So yes, I love Rucka. And you'll have to tell me how Black Magic is. Yeah,
I'm going to start it soon. I think I got the first 12 issues. So
nice.
I'll be reporting back on that. The only other thing I've been reading is Chilling Adventures in Sorcery from Archie Comics.
Oh, yeah. You were posting about that.
When the Archie horror books took off in the last few years, Archie Afterlife or Afterlife with Archie and Jughead the Hunger, which I've just read, and Vampironica, they reprinted this just to kind of capitalize on that because in the early 70s, they tried to cash in on the whole horror comics thing. And this didn't last very long, but this is a pretty big collection. I think it has the first 7 issues in it. It has a new cover by Francesco Francavilla, who I loves.
Yeah,
gorgeous new art. But this is interesting because it has Gray Morrow and Alex Toth and Dick Giordano and some other big names in it. But the first 2 issues, which is all I've read so far, they ill-advisedly use their house artists. So there's these weird, you know, strange tales, creepy type stories, but they look like Archie comics. So it's just really off-putting, like just seeing.
Oh, that's just weird.
Yeah, like a guy being turned into a giant insect, but it looks like Reggie or Jughead.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
So that I was a little put off by that, but I just finished issue 2, and issue 3 is where they switched over and realized, you know, that's not working. Let's get Gray Morrow and Alex Toth in here.
Gray Morrow is so good.
Yeah, from issue 3 on, it's absolutely gorgeous art from some huge names in the industry. So I'm stoked about that. Yeah, that's all I'm reading right now, besides all that digital stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, folks, if you want to send us some mail, you can write us at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. You can ask us questions. You can give us feedback or just comment on stuff that's going on in the series. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us on Instagram at Werewolf by Night Podcast, all separated with underscores, and on Twitter at Werewolf Podcast. We post on there pretty regularly. I've been loving the stuff you've been doing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Jacob.
Thank you. Yeah, I did some deep dives into Golden Age werewolf stories, and then I've just been posting my favorite Atlas era horror covers because they're just so badass.
Oh yeah, that one today. Who did that one? That Venus one?
Oh, it's Bill Everett, of course. My favorite.
Man, that's a beautiful, beautiful cover.
Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah, the Bill Everett's stuff from Menace and from Venus at that time is just fucking unreal cool. He's my favorite artist. I think if I was to choose a favorite comic artist of all time, Bill Everett is it for me. Starting way back with the Amazing Man comics, the Hydra Man, you know, and then into early Submariner. Yeah. Or creating Submariner, doing all that cool stuff, all the cool horror shit he did. Like he's the guy I have the most books on. So he must be my favorite.
Yeah, I think throughout his career, I think he has like the most highs. I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
Wow. I never really thought about that before, but I think that's it's definitely top 3 for me.
He's just
as far as career wide.
Yeah, I mean, career wise, he's so good. And that issue of The Claws of the Cat that we talked about earlier, it's one of his last things. He died just in his 50s. He was a really, really heavy drinker, but kind of got it under control. And I think he started at AA in I think the late 60s, early 70s. And, just lived a few more years, did a few cool things. But his shit was always on point. Even when he was super drunk and weird, his art was always good. And he was, Roy Thomas loved him. And him and Roy Thomas roomed together for a while, which I guess was pretty insane.
Yeah. Wow.
Because on, Roy Thomas, even, back in the 60s and 70s, did the zine alter ego that was the fanzine, like definitely small printed and all that. And he did a really big interview with Bill Everett that's been reproduced other places, but super cool. I know he really loved the guy. It's
nice to end on a positive note after one of our more dicey episodes.
I know. You and I, like we've talked about it before, we like to keep positive.
Yep, I do, but gotta call a spade a spade.
You do. So we'll have a little bit of a break between giant size issues.
Right. So what's up next? Are we on issue 20?
Yeah, we'll be on issue 20, and that's when Doug Munch comes in as our writer. And it's going to be Don Perlin and Vinnie Coletta for a while, so buckle up.
Yeah, so next episode, we'll be kind of locking into our essentially permanent team for the rest of the run, except for Coletta. Is the inker on rotation for the rest of the...
It is a little bit, but after the Coletta issues, it's funny. I noticed like Don Perlin does his own inks for a while. And I think he was just like, no, I need to take control.
And we like that, right?
Yeah, we absolutely like that. No, okay. Perlin is great.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
So
no, it's good.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for joining us this week. Join us next week when we talk about Werewolf by Night, issue number 20.
So we'd also encourage everyone listening to leave a review if they want. We'd love it to be 5-star. It doesn't have to be. And you can take a screenshot of that and send it to us. And I will personally send you buttons that I have made from old issues of Werewolf by Night. And my wife and I spend an evening cutting them out of the comics and making them into buttons. And as you know, I love destroying comics whenever I can, treating them like the disposable medium that they are, using them for their intended purpose, which is to deface. So let me send some of those to you. They are made with love.
Yes, I love mine. And I've been thinking all day today, Jacob, that I don't have my new backpack my wife gave me is really thick, so you can't put buttons in it like my old crappy one.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't go to an office anymore. I'm permanently a remote employee now. So I want to use all my cool buttons that you gave me of Werewolf by Night and my birthday ones with Buster Keaton and Flash Gordon. And I have my creepy fan club one, and I have a bunch of Twin Peaks ones. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm getting a podcasting cardigan. And I'm going full Ramblin' Rod and putting all my buttons on it. And it's gonna stay right here. I know people can't see it, but you can.
Can I do that too?
Yes.
And can you tell everyone I am wearing a cardigan right now? I normally wear a cardigan for our events because I kind of dress like a drunken Fred Rogers. I would almost describe my style as. So I always have a nice cardigan. So yeah, we're going to do that. And no one will see it, but you and I will see it, Matt, and we will be really satisfied by it.
That sounds great. Okay, well, I'm going to be fully Ramblin' Rodded up.
Yeah, for everyone that didn't grow up in the in Oregon from 1968 to 1994, there was a children's host named Ramblin' Rod. It was Rod Anders, and he took over from another host of the show called Popeye's Pier in the 60s and made this kids show called the Ramblin' Rod Show, and we all watched it religiously as little kids. And you could go on and sit in the stands, and there was a smile contest, all this crazy shit. And yeah, I've dressed like Ramblin' Rod for multiple Halloweens. I have a specific outfit and everything. So yeah, he was my hero. So anytime I get to emulate him, I am down.
Yes. So yeah, Ramblin' Rod, like if you sent him a button for your business or any kind of whatever, he would add it to his cardigan. So he had this sweater that was just absolutely covered in buttons, and that was part of his thing. And so,
well, that was the weird thing, is that if you were a kid and you went on a show, you were supposed to bring him a button, like you're making an offering to a god or something. And that's what it felt like.
Oh,
I had a button. I can't remember what I gave to him, but it just scared the shit out of me to actually see him. He was God to me.
So it's crazy to me that you grew up in the metro area because I'm from a small, basically a Twin Peaks town on the southern Oregon coast. And I watched him every day before school when I was having breakfast. And so in my mind, like he was on Mars. Like I knew it was in Portland, but Portland might as well have been Mars to me in the small fishing logging town. So it's weird to me that people actually got to go see him and be in the audience.
Oh, it was a huge deal. When one of your friends got to go on Ramblin' Rod, it was a big fucking deal.
I think I had a couple classmates that made a point of going up there for their birthday. Like that was their birthday thing was like, can we go to Portland and be on Ramblin' Rod and, you know, be on, because you get on the screen, right? You like had a little romper room kind of moment.
Well, yeah, they would do the smile contest where the camera would just go down the rows of kids and you were supposed to give your biggest smile. And then the cameraman, you know, chose whoever was the winner. And you got like a 6-pack of Pop Shop Pop and like some tickets. You got some tickets to the Oaks Park skating rink. Those are the prizes. I feel a million years old talking about this. Do you?
I'm glad that you said Pop Shop Pop because I've asked so many Oregonians about that and like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, you used to bring your empty pop bottles in and you tell them what sodas you want and they'd fill up fresh bottles and you take them home in this like the same way that people had milk delivered.
Yeah,
but you went to anyway, we're definitely very old.
You just made us sound 2 million years old. No, I've tried to describe to people like, yeah, you brought the pop bottles in and they'd fill them for you. And they do. They just look at me like, you are fucking insane. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. My older brother who came with me with our grandpa doesn't remember this very much. So he's kind of like, you sure that happened?
No, I'm with you. Last thing that we'll say about Ramblin' Rod is that this was, well, you know, I watched him in the early 80s. And the opening to his song was the beginning of the Beatles' Good Morning, Good Morning.
Yep. The first time I heard Sgt. Pepper's, I almost shit myself when Good Morning, Good Morning started. Because, you know, all that, I call them Atari flashbacks, all that shit where it's like hardwired in from youth. I almost shat myself.
Yeah, it's funny. I think you and I talked about this. I think we did. But Sgt. Pepper, for some reason, I listened to it as a very small kid because I was really fascinated with my dad's record collection. And so I listened to Sgt. Pepper and I thought it was just like a kid's record. Like, I'm just like, oh, there's a song about a horse on there.
All sound effects and
just all the crazy imagery. Stuff. And then on the Good Morning, Good Morning, I'm like, all the farm animals. Like, this is a kid's record. And so, but I also knew that from the Ramblin' Rod theme song, which is crazy that they got away with that.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time that I got taken hostage during Ramblin' Rod?
I don't think so.
Well, I'll tell you the story sometime.
Okay.
It's from my deep, dark past.
Damn.
Yeah, some deep trauma.
Holy shit.
We'll save that for another episode.
Oh, my God.
But it happened. All right. Thanks for listening, folks. Till we meet again, neath the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at ya.